The fans have a really important question to ask about Billy Donovan. Of course, he took over the head coaching duties for the Chicago Bulls there in 2020, and it's been a wild mixed emotions about his performance with the Chicago Bulls. And now we get to look back and ask ourselves, is Billy Donovan in the hot seat right now? Hello, my name is Isaias Jackson Jr. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Bulls Digest. We got to get into all the news and notes on Billy Donovan. We get to speculate whether his seat is really hot or not. And of course, we get to look at the coaching candidates that are available and potentially could be a better fit for the Chicago Bulls outside of Billy Donovan. But first, 67.5% of you guys aren't subscribed. 32.5% of you guys are. We thank you guys, whether whichever side of the road you are on. And look, you can take it from me, and I'm speaking from experience. When you subscribe to Bulls Digest and you watch the content, you actually feel 10 times better as a Bulls fan. It's scientifically proven. Look, and of course, as I said, speaking from experience, of course, I watch a Bulls Digest. I was watching it before I was on here, and I feel 10 times better knowing that even though I'm sitting here either miserable at home or enjoying the success of the Chicago Bulls, I'm happy to see guys like Rico and Shaq break it down and give us the news and notes on the Chicago Bulls, and also share in the emotion of whether that's sadness or happiness or even just downright depression. We care about you guys here. So definitely leave a like, share, subscribe, and we love to hear from you guys as well in the comment section too. We got to get into the meat and potatoes. Is Billy Donovan job safe? Of course, after getting smoked by the Miami Heat 109-90. And honestly, you can't just put that on the coach either. I don't think the players came through ready as well. I mean, Kobe White just talked about the game plan, and he's just said, hey, man, we beat this team 3 times. Let's just go in and do the exact same thing that we did. Wrong answer. That's the last thing you want to hear from a player that went out on the floor and actually played and went 5 for 20 as well. On the floor. So it was a little bit of a mess. So I won't necessarily put that whole loss on Billy Donovan. But yes, the players wasn't ready. The players didn't come out to play. And Billy Donovan definitely got out coached there as well. So of course, we hear from AK. He says, I thought he's done an unbelievable job to transform this group and accomplish certain goals of changing the way we've played last year. Of course, he says, he has full faith in Billy Donovan, says he's done an unbelievable job, and I have full confidence in Billy. This is what Arturas added as well. After, and this is in a post coming from Casey Johnson, who was there at the press conference. And man, that's just the last thing you want to hear if you are against Billy Donovan. I think Billy Donovan has just been the living embodiment of mediocrity since he's been with the Chicago Bulls. There's been times where we thought, okay, we could do some damage here. We got the Zach Lavine, the DeMar DeRozan combo. This could be real nice. And then you're wondering why you're going 41-41. That can't just be on the players as well. You got to put that on the coach. You got to look at the coach's game plan as well. And then you see the work that Zach Lavine was doing then. Kobe White wasn't exactly the Kobe White he was now. So a little inefficiency there as well. And of course, it was just a matter of DeMar DeRozan and Zach Lavine getting theirs off, and they've had multiple games where they're just pretty much, and I'm sorry to keep throwing Kobe White in this, but where the shot selection just isn't there. No, especially Zach Lavine, where Zach Lavine isn't even letting time come off the shot clock. He's just going up the court and chucking up a shot. It's the last thing you need, and of course you're seeing him and Billy Donovan. Not necessarily saying they didn't see eye to eye, but you can tell that when Billy Donovan, I can tell you a vivid memory off the bat. Zach Lavine on the floor. Why are we calling a timeout when we're effing up 10? I forgot who they were going up against. This was a couple years ago. Zach Lavine and the players are really, really vocal about Billy Donovan and the game plan surrounding it, and just the little things that were going on as well. As I mentioned, what was said on the floor with Zach Lavine, and just the attitude of the couple of the players as well. You can kind of tell Billy Donovan at some point in time, I want to say within the midst of the 2 years, was losing a little bit of the locker room. Now the younger guys, it seems like they're a little bit sold more into what Billy Donovan has. I think after getting rid of Zach Lavine and DeMar DeRozan, I think that kind of got rid of the guys that weren't necessarily too sold in on the Billy Donovan experiment. So honestly, looking at it now, this team is looking really solid. The biggest question for Billy Donovan was how was he going to be coaching the younger guys? He got booted out. Well, not necessarily booted out. It was they mutually parted ways. Billy Donovan and Oklahoma City Thunder. I want to give the man a little bit of respect here. So when you're looking at it, they mutually part ways. They go and have an amazing surge of getting a bunch of young talent, whether that's in the draft or through trades as well, and they build a juggernaut of a team that Billy Donovan isn't a part of. Now the Chicago Bulls, now outside of the picks and outside of that example, they could be trying to do a little bit of what OKC is doing and getting their younger guys and also growing them to develop to be as great as they can be. But is Billy Donovan that guy to do that? Is Billy Donovan going to be the guy to get that out of his younger guys? And right now, even though they got off to a really really late surge in this season, the Chicago Bulls did. I'm still iffy on if Billy Donovan can do that. I'm still iffy on if Billy Donovan can still lead the younger talent to greater success. Now the Bulls haven't had a lot of success under Billy Donovan, but the fans understand that he hasn't exactly had the necessary support from the front office to do much. At the same time, there's still a chunk of fans that put a lot of blame on Billy Donovan as well. It doesn't seem like the Bulls are planning to make a coaching change, however. So, like I said, this could still be a blessing and a curse because I do think that's still another side that a lot of the fans are still hoping for in Billy Donovan, because when he first started, there wasn't a whole lot that Billy Donovan had to work with here. And so as the team is growing and as the team's developing, are you going to give Billy Donovan that time? Are you going to give Billy Donovan that time to go on and lead this team? And now you're seeing how Kobe White has progressed. You're seeing how Josh Giddey has progressed. Let's look at the team as a whole. Did Cameron Williams? Wow, did Patrick Williams, progress a whole lot under Billy Donovan? And I guess the biggest answer you can get out of that is no, not at all, not one bit. When you're looking at the team as a whole, okay, you're looking at Dalen Terry. Has he been a whole lot better? He is growing. He is looking a whole lot better. But there's only been so little bit of time he's had with Billy Donovan. We can go on and look at the younger guys that has formed this team. Matas Buzelis, how has he looked under Billy Donovan? Looked really, really well. Looked great even. And so it's just a matter of what are you going to get from Billy Donovan when it is all said and done. And honestly, you're seeing the team right now, as I mentioned before, it looks like they're sold in on Billy Donovan. You're not seeing a little bit of you're not seeing anybody kind of slip away. You're not seeing anybody kind of give you a negative energy about the team itself or give you the negative vibe that the team is pretty much stagnant at this point. Because I believe Zach Lavine and DeMar DeRozan, I believe they were adamantly vocal. And if something was wrong, they weren't shy in saying what was wrong, or not necessarily throw anybody under the bus. But if something was bugging them and it needed to be addressed, they would be the ones to address it. They would really say something. Kobe White, as vocal as he is, I don't necessarily think he would be the guy to be very outspoken and to speak out if there were problems or any type of disconnect with Billy Donovan. So right now it seems like everybody, at least organizational wise, is still still adamant that Billy Donovan is the guy. But we can still look at a couple of prospects though. We can still look at who is available out there for the Chicago Bulls if Billy Donovan is going to get the boot over the offseason. So right now, Billy Donovan has a record of 196 and 209 with the Chicago Bulls in the regular season and in the playoffs in his coaching career. Of course, the losing record is definitely not the greatest. We mentioned before, didn't really start off with the greatest roster for the Chicago Bulls, so not necessarily going to clown him or berate him for that. But we also got to look at some of the candidates. And so when we look at Mike Brown, I think Mike Brown is a really, really great guy to go to. Just look at the young talent he had in Sacramento with the De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Keegan Murray. Like the team was absolutely filled with stars, young stars, I would say. And I thought he did a great job and getting them first off, getting rid of that playoff drought that they've had, one of the longest playoff droughts that they've had, and also just being a great leader for the team. You've seen him lash out many a times in his conferences, in his press conferences, because he doesn't want to be taken as a joke. He wants to fight for his team, and he wants to give his team a fair chance as well. So whether he sees there's a free throw discrepancy, whether he believes the refs were on BS that game, oh, he's going to be loud. He's going to be vocal, and he is going to let you know. And that's one of the things I love. And he's successful. He knows how to win basketball games. So you got to give Mike Brown a whole lot of love there. And I think him coaching the youth of that Sacramento Kings team is definitely one of the reasons why I would look at Mike Brown. He has a 554 and 304 coaching career record. I think that's great in itself. Well, I just think that's just a Mike Brown would definitely be one of those no-brainer guys for me because he has the attitude, he has just that energy, that coach's energy that he has, that he puts to a team that kind of gets that fire out of you, that brings that fire out of you. And honestly, he fights for the team. He knows what the word loyalty means, and you got to give him a whole lot of credit for that. So I would definitely look at Mike Brown. You can also look at, of course, Mike Budenholzer, who got the boot with the Phoenix Suns. And honestly, the Phoenix Suns were just a complete mess. I covered the Phoenix Suns when I lived in Phoenix. And I knew from the get-go when they had Frank Vogel, as soon as they traded for Kevin Durant and they got rid of their younger guys, I figured it was over. It was just completely over, and I could go into a whole lot of detail of that, but this isn't a Phoenix Suns. This isn't a Suns digest. So when you're looking at Mike Budenholzer, of course, his record 520 and 363, a really, really winning, a successful head coach. Of course, this Phoenix Suns team, was just so disheveled, discombobulated, disorganized, and they still don't have an identity at all. Frank Vogel struggled to find them an identity. Mike Budenholzer struggled to find them an identity. And I think any other coach that will go in there is going to struggle as well. So I won't put the failure of the Phoenix Suns in 2025 on Mike Budenholzer. Now, a lot of Bucks fans wanted to give him the boot early into his Milwaukee Bucks tenure as well. Now, he did end up winning a NBA championship with the team after that. But I do think he's a really, really great head coach for an organization looking to build their team together, who pretty much has it. I think the Chicago Bulls have a roster of young guys that are also missing that identity as well. They just need that leadership. They just need somebody that's going to come in there that has that experience, that has that nonsensical basketball play style, that's going to come in there and help a whole lot. And I think Mike Budenholzer can definitely be that guy. It's just a matter of how would you go about in the play style of Kobe, in the play styles of guys like Kobe White and Josh Giddey, and how are you going to progress them? I think a guy like Kobe White can definitely be stagnant under someone like Mike Budenholzer, because I do think Mike Budenholzer, he loves to use his roster. I do think Kobe White at some point in time, if he does go out onto his 5 for 20 games or goes on to struggle a little bit, I can see Mike Budenholzer kind of losing a little bit of faith in somebody like Kobe White. And I do think we've seen that on a couple of occasions. Mike Budenholzer lose faith in a couple of his players. We saw it this year with the Phoenix Suns and Ryan Dunn and the young rookie that they have as well. So that's one thing you can look at with Mike Budenholzer, but I definitely wouldn't hate Mike Budenholzer making his way to Chicago. Also, Mike Malone, another nonsensical basketball player. The play style is unreal. Share the sugar. He's just quick and amazing ball movement as well. And that's one thing that I do think the Chicago Bulls can definitely use a little bit of help on, limiting turnovers. I think Michael Budenholzer can get that out of the Chicago Bulls. He is just an absolute dog, plays no games with his players, and also just like Mike Brown, the loyalty is there. He will fight for you, and I do think that's what another thing that the Chicago Bulls need, somebody that's going to light a fire under them. Billy Donovan, although you do see him get a little animated on the floor sometimes, you're not really seeing him, get that fire out of his team. And the fire was there at the very end of the season. We need to see that on a consistent basis, on a consistent level. Like, we do see Billy Donovan get fired up. We do see him get hot. But right now, you see guys like Mike Malone, who is going to pretty much cuss out anybody and everybody at that point in time. And I'm talking about players included, just to get the best out of them. And he's even going to throw some players under the bus. You've seen that with Denver. These guys don't watch film. That's Mike Malone. These guys don't watch film. So I do think Mike Malone would be a huge key piece for the Chicago Bulls as well. And also, lastly, we do have Taylor Jenkins from the Memphis Grizzlies. He just got the boot as well. But these are coaches, playoff caliber coaches, who just recently lost their jobs for a couple of guys before the playoffs could even start. And it's just a huge, huge letdown. And especially for a guy like Taylor Jenkins, who had so much success under the Memphis Grizzlies, and with the likes of Ja Morant, who has been an absolute star. On top of that, who will average 25 plus, and then not only that, will get suspended for most of the season, will suffer a season-ending injury, and yet you still have Taylor Jenkins still trying to push his team into a playoff spot. The Memphis Grizzlies still try to do everything in their power to be successful, trying to grab the likes of Marcus Smart, and trying to just bring some type of help to this team. When they grabbed Steven Adams years ago, they try to do everything in their power to help out. And it just hasn't worked out in their favor. And Taylor Jenkins, you can tell that at this point in time, as you see the writing on the wall, Taylor Jenkins is pretty much getting himself out of there. He was definitely going to be gone pretty soon. Now it's just a matter of, can he fit with the Chicago Bulls? He would definitely be one of the guys I would have on the bottom of the list, but I definitely think he is a guy that you should also have eyes on. He's a guy that you should definitely be looking at if you are the Chicago Bulls. The Memphis Grizzlies had so much success under this man after dealing with so many of the injuries. Desmond Bane going down as well, and yet you still had the Memphis Grizzlies fighting and clawing for a playoff spot, sometimes even still remaining in that second seed that they fought so valiantly on a couple years ago. So those are all the coaches that are available right now. However, although we did see AK give his thoughts on the Chicago Bulls and on Billy Donovan, it does look like he is sold on Billy Donovan. But what is your thoughts? Do you believe the Chicago Bulls can go far with Billy Donovan, or do you believe that Chicago Bulls will only stay stagnant and pretty much won't see the great success that we even imagined them seeing, because of the great young talent that they have in the Josh Giddeys, Kobe Whites, Montes Buzelis? We see the young talent there. Can Billy Donovan pull them to their fullest potential, and can Billy Donovan actually bring the Chicago Bulls not only to a playoff spot, but can he bring them to a playoff run? Can he lead the Chicago Bulls to an amazing playoff push? Right now, I don't really have that much faith in Billy Donovan, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.